What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sleazee back with a music tutorial today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to spice up your hi-hats to give them more of an analog sound and feel. And what I mean by analog sound is drum machines have more of a natural quality to them because the sounds are being generated by electricity from within the drum machine. So they sound a little different each time they're triggered. Whereas a sampler is going to trigger the same sound and it's going to sound static if it's played over and over, right? It'll start to get kind of stale. A drum machine is going to create those samples each time. So the electricity that's creating the sounds is going to sound a little different each time that it's created. So we're going to try to replicate that as best as we can in our DAW. And I've got an example here from a song called Get Fresh where I tried to do that. The song has a lot of 808 elements to it, so I felt like it was a good example for this tutorial. Let's take a listen.
While you're trying to get fresh, I get tired of excuses. If you ain't got results, then I'm throwing up the deuces. I'm a big dog, y'all a bunch of Dr. Seuss's. Roll a bank, roll in the rolls to the bank. I get cash money, give a damn what you think.
So you can definitely see what I mean with the hi-hats, how they have kind of a varying tonal quality. So I'll solo those out here so you can listen. Notice how sometimes it's a little louder, sometimes it's a little quieter, a little filtered here and there. So I'm going to show you how to replicate that in the sampler so that you can easily do this yourself. Alright, so I've taken all the hi-hats out of the song and let's see how it sounds.
While you're trying to get fresh, I get tired of excuses. If you ain't got results, then I'm throwing up the deuces. I'm a big dog, y'all a bunch of...
Alright, so not bad, but it definitely needs something. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add an 808 hat in here because there's a lot of 808 elements already in the song. And we want to make sure we're finding a hat that's going to complement the other drum sounds that we already have, if possible. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull up Splice. And I already know what sample I want to use for this, so I'm just going to paste it here in the search bar. I'll put this in the description as well so that you can follow along if you'd like. It's this TSG hi-hat, so we're just going to take a listen to that. So you can hear how it's got a nice snappy sound to it. It's got a bright quality. So it's a good sample to start off with, and that's going to make our job a lot easier in the long run. So make sure you got the right channel selected here in Ableton, and you're going to want to have this MIDI tab pulled up here on the bottom. And in Splice, you can just click and drag that sample over into this section, and it'll create a sampler for you automatically. If you're using another DAW, you can probably just click the three dots and copy to clipboard, and that should make your job a little bit easier as well. So the first thing we want to do is fill out our notes so that we know how they're going to all play together. So I'm going to go ahead and fill those out now. Fortunately, this song is all 16th notes, so if you want to see a video on spicing up the rhythm for your hi-hats, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to do that. So we're just going to fill these out. Let's go ahead and take a listen to how it sounds.
Fresh, I get tired of excuses. If you ain't got results, then I'm throwing up the deuces. I'm a big dog, y'all a bunch of Dr. Seuss's. Roll a bank, roll in a roll.
So not bad, but we definitely need to spice it up because it is going to start to sound kind of repetitive after a while. So we're going to go to our sampler here, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our filter. So on the bottom left here, you'll see we've got this 12 and 24, and just go ahead and click to 12 here. This is just going to loosen up the filter so it's not as tight and it lets more of the high frequency information out. So I'm just going to filter out some of that high frequency information and we'll bring it back momentarily with some of this resonance. Alright, so now I'm going to use that resonance knob and we're going to bring back some of that high end artificially. So you can definitely tell how it has a little bit more spank to it, or a little more pop, as opposed to just the sample by itself. So this is something I recommend to start off with, is adjusting those filters and trying to work with that resonance so that you can create a unique sounding hi-hat that is appropriate for the song you're working with. So next we're going to go over here to our controls tab, and we're going to focus on this LFO column here in the center. As you can see, we have 4 elements: volume, pan, pitch, and filter. And changing these is going to automate these elements in the sampler. So when I think of a drum machine, I'm thinking automatically that we're going to be automating the volume and the filter, because the filter is going to contribute to the dirtiness and the volume is going to contribute to that sort of humanization that the drum machines bring. And speaking of the volume, the easiest way to make sure we're maximizing the randomization is changing this LFO shape from the sine wave to the random shape here. So let's go ahead and change some of these elements and see how it affects the sound. Alright, so it definitely has some movement to it, and it has more of kind of a gritty, dirty tone to it with the filter LFO, but we definitely want it to be a little more noticeable, so we're going to increase the rate of the LFO. So let's see how that sounds. So you can definitely tell it has a lot more of a poppy quality to it. It's more snappy. It just sounds a little bit more electric to me. So I definitely like this randomization function here. The last thing we need to do is we need to cut off some of the tail of this hi-hat because it sounds like it's kind of splashing into each other. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this and mess with these attack, decay, sustain, and release knobs. So I'm just going to add a little bit of release so that we can bring the tail back but make it a little quieter than it was before. Alright, so that sounds pretty good. Let's see how it sounds in context of the mix.
Fresh, I get tired of excuses. If you ain't got results, then I'm throwing up the deuces. I'm a big dog, y'all a bunch of Dr. Seuss's. Roll a bank, roll in the rolls to the bank. I get cash money, give a damn what you think.
So you can definitely tell there's a lot more movement there. I can handle listening to that for 2 minutes or however long the song might be, and the hi-hats are not going to get stale throughout the beat. So this is a great way to add movement and humanization to your beats, even if you're using drum machine samples like an 808 here. Alright y'all, well that's it for this video. If it was helpful, make sure you give me a like. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see next, and as always, take it sleazy. Peace.